Hang up that computer call, come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
Remasters and remakes are a very touchy subject in the gaming community. There's always a handful of questions when someone's favorite IP is getting the facelift treatment. What deserves to be remade? How's it going to look? Are they going to be faithful to the core mechanics of the original? Will it even capture the same aura that inspired so many? And most of all, will it be any good? I say, instead of wasting time and money bringing back something that no one but normies likes, let's petition to bring back something actually special. Something that brought people together. Through intense battles and long nights of fingers covered in Cheeto dust as our Mountain Dew lips salivated the thought of adding collateral snipes to our machinima reels. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm talking about the golden era of Call of Duty. For 6 years, every Call of Duty that came out seemed to get bigger and better each time. And truthfully, I can't review all the games in one video as I believe most of them deserve their own. So today, in honor of Black Ops 6 being right around the corner, I'm reviewing the game that started it all. The montages, the snipes, and the early onset diabetes from a lifestyle that would probably kill Homer Simpson. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released on November 5th, 2007 in North America, and the remastered version was released on November 4th, 2016, alongside the purchase of Infinite Warfare. Up until this game's release, Call of Duty had done well with the World War II shooter genre. Every game before this was a World War II shooter game, which at the time had actually become very oversaturated. Call of Duty had managed to stand out amongst its competitors, however, thanks to epic campaigns with action-packed set pieces and offering a little more variety with different perspectives from other nations and a simple but very solid multiplayer. However, year after year, the World War II genre, even for Call of Duty, was growing old, and with the mega blockbuster success of Halo, it was time for a change-up. So Infinity Ward had the bright yet very daring idea to make the next Call of Duty set in modern times. Not only did they make the game about modern warfare, they also managed to make one of the most influential games of all time. But why is it so influential, Cheddy? Well, I'm happy you asked, valued viewer. It's for two reasons. One, Infinity Ward took the formula for an already exciting cinematic experience and turned the dial up to 11, resulting in a high-octane Hollywood nuts-to-butts action campaign.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
And two, because Infinity Ward completely overhauled the multiplayer, making it more addicting than Pillsbury Christmas cookies. Yeah, that good. Don't act like you haven't swallowed a whole dozen of those with milk. In the campaign, you play as two soldiers, SAS Operative Soap McTavish and US Marine Sergeant Paul Jackson. In a nutshell, the SAS missions give the player the covert, high-stakes, spy, behind-enemy lines style missions, while the Marines provide a more traditional military first-person shooter experience, with just a new coat of paint. What's really interesting here, however, is the attempt to tell an original story with original characters. If you take the game at face value, it's actually a half-decent story.
Good news first, the world's in great shape. We've got a civil war in Russia, government loyalists against ultranationalist rebels, and 15,000 nukes at stake.
Just another day at the office.
Our story begins with a briefing from Gaz and Captain Price explaining that there's a civil war happening in Russia. Ultranationalists are fighting for control of Russia against the loyalists. Oh, yeah, and there's 15,000 nukes at stake. No biggie. Also, there's a nameless Middle Eastern country that's having some political strife, and a very bad man named Al-Assad, nailed it, is taking over. The prologue then sees FNG Soap joining the SAS in a wet work operation after being tipped off from an informant in the ultranationalist group that a large cargo ship in the Bering Strait has something of great value to the West. When Price and Soap get to the cargo ship, they uncover a nuclear device with Arab markings. The ultranationalists then scuttle the ship in order to prevent the West from uncovering their plans. Price and Soap then make a daring escape off the ship.
Bravo 6, come in. Bravo 6, what's your status? Shit! What the hell happened? The ship's sinking! We've got to go, now! 6, come in, damn it!
Big Bird, this is Bravo 6, we're on our way out! On your feet, soldier! We are leaving! Look for it! Gotcha! We're all aboard! Go!
Roger that, we're out of here. Base plate, this is Big Bird. Package secured, returning to base. Out.
We We then cut to who was the leader of the nameless Middle Eastern country for totally not political correctness, and we're thrown to the back of a car with Niko Bellic. We are then introduced to one of the coolest intro in-game cinematics I have ever seen. You drive to the streets of this nameless Middle Eastern country as al-Assad's army is tearing things up piece by piece. You then get pulled out and find out what happens when you don't go bowling with Niko Bellic.
What is going on, Roman? How about we go bowling?
I can't do it right now, Nico. Maybe later?
We can make arrangement for another time.
We then cut to Price and Soap, who are about to rescue Nikolai, who was the informant that gave you the tip on the cargo ship in the Bering Strait. After rescuing Nikolai and being shot down and being rescued yourself, Nikolai explains that the upcoming American invasion will be a mistake. Cut to Sergeant Paul Jackson and the USMC of the American invasion that will be a mistake of the Middle Eastern country with no name. Marines are tasked to push to the city to capture al-Assad. However, each time the Americans get close, it turns out to be bad intel. Days of fighting building to building in urban combat, escorting an M1 Abrams deeper into enemy territory and searching for al-Assad yields no results. Eventually, the Americans close in on the presidential palace, where al-Assad is rumored to be. However, as the Americans approach, intel suggests that there may be a nuclear device in the city, and all teams should be ready to evacuate if it's confirmed. During the mission, a friendly chopper is shot down, and Sergeant Paul Jackson's unit agrees to land their support chopper to save the injured pilot. As swarms of al-Assad's men attempt to finish off the downed pilot, the intel confirms the nuclear device. NEST teams are being sent to disarm the bomb. The clock begins ticking as you carry the injured pilot back to safety. You take off and begin to evacuate. And thank goodness too. I mean, could you imagine if it... Captain Price and Soap find al-Assad hiding in a safe house out of country. He's treated fairly and the Geneva Convention is respected. Price connects the dots and the ultranationalists were the ones who supplied the nukes, and after answering al-Assad's phone, he identifies the one-armed man. Captain Price begins to tell the squad members that years ago when he was under the command of Captain Macmillan, he was sent on an assassination mission to stop a man named Imram Zakhaev from exploiting nuclear materials and secrets to whoever had the biggest checkbook, using nuclear material from the Chernobyl disaster. Zakhaev has nothing but bad plans and hate for the West. This mission in Call of Duty is called All Ghillied Up and sees the player wearing a ghillie suit and sneaking around Chernobyl, taking out guys with a silent sniper rifle. This mission was so good that every Call of Duty after this had to have 1 or 2 missions with the same structure.
I'm a slithery little sneaky snake. I'm so slithery and sneaky because I'm a snake.
The assassination was a success, or so they thought. Zakhaev lost his arm in the encounter but lived on, likely feeling more hate and support for his cause. To find Zakhaev and bring him out of hiding, the SAS and USMC joined forces in an attempt to find Zakhaev's son, the dapper blue tracksuit gentleman from earlier. But when Allied forces catch up to him, the track star gives everybody his 13 reasons why. Naturally, this sends Zakhaev into a blind rage, throwing his master plans aside to avenge his son's death as he hijacks a launch facility where he launches ICBMs. Price and Soap fight their way through the facility to safely disarm the nukes. We then find our heroes on a final car chase through the mountains, as Allied forces become stranded on a destroyed bridge where Zakhaev then enacts his revenge. Sergeant Greggs is shot trying to save you. Gaz's game ended by Zakhaev. And in one last-ditch effort to stop this menace, Captain Price with his last breath slides in 1911 over to you, and Soap in his last stand ends Zakhaev with a single shot. As the Russian government and Kamarov show up, your last vision is of Captain Price, lifeless, failing to be resuscitated. Call of Duty 4's campaign is an adrenaline rush from start to finish. Call of Duty had always been good at amazing set pieces, but not like this. What makes this campaign so potent is its realism. Now, before everyone jumps in the comment section and tells me how unrealistic this game is, because yes, I am completely aware of how unrealistic this game really is. Even a guy like me with no military experience whatsoever, trust me, I understand. But let me explain. Back in the golden era of Call of Duty, there was a weird debate about realism in games. People foaming at the mouth when Battlefield kept getting more, finger quote, realistic with every iteration. And while I always agreed that realism is good in games, Call of Duty was never good because of its realism. It was good because it fabricated realism. If you walk away from any Call of Duty thinking it's a documentary or educational on warfare and anything to do with the subject of war, then you are lost. Call of Duty, and especially COD 4, was the first time a first-person shooter gave gamers a cinematic Hollywood experience that was grounded in realism, complete with the modern tropes of the current world stage. And when I say grounded, I don't mean it's all grounded. Yes, there is liberties taken every step of the way. There should be. I'm sure the gun nerds of YouTube could point out like 5 things wrong with every weapon in game. My point is that sometimes Russians in real life do spooky things with nukes. There's a lot of political strife in the Middle East, and the West does believe that, well, they can police whoever they want and bomb the bad guys without any collateral damage. That's not too far off our own reality. Seeing this for the first time back in 2007 was a game changer, and because of how fresh and visceral the experience was, it left an impact on gamers everywhere, and is still remembered to this day. After you're done playing the campaign, or pulling your hair out from playing the veteran mode in campaign, you move on to what most Call of Duty players play the game for in the first place. That's multiplayer. COD 4 wasn't the first COD with multiplayer, but it was the first COD to give us what we know today as Call of Duty multiplayer, and to make it so addicting. Today, my friends and I are hard-pressed to find a game that would bring us all together, let alone reach the player maximum and be waiting to be subbed in like a fat kid in gym class.
General, you trying to tell me in all this man's military, there's no room left for a trained weapon of destruction?
That's because Call of Duty 4 had started the golden era of Call of Duty. In the previous Call of Duty's multiplayer, there was a handful of maps, Germans versus Americans, 5 preset classes to choose from, which was weird because sometimes the German weapons were better, so I'm not really sure how that's fair, but there was a couple of game modes to choose from, you plug in your Xbox or PS2, and you have some fun. That's it. To contrast that and show how COD 4 was completely different and new, it launched with 4 times the amount of content, over 10 game modes, 16 multiplayer maps, and over 30 weapons to choose and customize. Thanks to the creative class system, it allowed players to build a loadout to their own style. Each player chooses a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and up to 3 different color-coded perks. You also get to select suppressors, red dot sights, grenade launchers, you name it, you could build it.
Well, you'll probably want the accessory kit, holster,
Oh yeah,
bandolier,
baby.
silencer, loudener, speed cocker,
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
and this is for shooting down police helicopters.
Oh, I don't need anything like that. Yet.
As you play the game, earning kills and winning games, you will earn experience points, which will level you up. As you level up, you will earn more gear and more ways to play. Once max level is reached, players get offered to Prestige. When a player chooses to Prestige, it will reset their current level all the way back to level 1 and all earned equipment. But now, with a fancy new emblem showing off to other players that they've reached max level and its corresponding Prestige. Adding these light RPG elements to the game is one of the best things Infinity Ward ever did. On top of the game just being very fun, there was a reason to get up and play. A healthy grind to accompany very exciting gameplay. There was just so much new and fun stuff to see and do. And for a lot of people, this was their first time seeing a modern arsenal of weapons in HD. AK-47s were not new to the gaming world, but they were new to the Call of Duty formula. Given that this was Infinity Ward's new formula, there was some kinks to work out. I mean, every COD has kinks to work out, except this was 2007 and no one really knew what a balanced multiplayer was. Compared to other Call of Duties, it has a lot of balance, but there is some broken meta equipment. For example, the Stopping Power and Juggernaut perks are crutch perks, must-have perks. Stopping Power giving you extra bullet damage and Juggernaut giving you extra health gives you a huge advantage against players who aren't using them. Having access to 3 frags with Sonic Boom, which deals extra explosive damage, can be frustrating on objective type game modes, especially if there's no counter to that. Last Stand lets you pull out a pistol and kill your attacker before dying, making gunfights completely unfair, especially if you clearly won. And there's even a couple weapons that really stand out, like the M16, which is a 1-burst machine across any range and any map, the RPD with a 100-round belt that can really just hold down any spawn, and from my memory, I can't remember which one's the best. It's either the MP5 or the P90 for SMG. Makes running around and killing people way too easy. But every game you play is different. This was before the skill-based matchmaking debate, so every day was a mixed bag. You're gonna get different results because there was different players on different game modes and on different maps. Most of which, I'll add, are pretty solid. Maps range from small, medium, and large, fighting in urban combat, to open fields, and even some weird Russian facilities. Heck, some of these maps are even ripped right from the areas in the campaign, and most of them work well. There's a few stinkers here and there, but there always is. My point being, there's so much variety in the COD multiplayer, even with bullshit meta gear. Domination on shipment plays completely different than Search and Destroy on backlog.
Yeah, like Flame's fucking golfing at the roof, out the fucking door. It was golfing. There was nothing I could do.
So, to answer the question, was the COD 4 remaster good? Was it worth it? I say yeah. Because I've been talking about both games as if they were the same, because Well, they virtually are the same game. COD 4 Remastered gives you the original package with updated visuals while making it more accessible on modern platforms. There was a few things added in the multiplayer, but virtually it's the same game. And there isn't really a reason to go back and play the original, which in this case, I think it's a good thing. There are so many games that deserve a remake, and you can argue that the original Call of Duty 4 was still serviceable. However, I'm glad that one of gaming's peak moments was treated right. And it's a shame that Activision shelved the idea of doing more of these Call of Duty remasters. In conclusion, COD 4 was a game that changed the game, adding so many new elements to a tired formula and injected life into what would become a recognized best-selling series. Make no mistake though, COD 4 wasn't perfect. Hell, far from it. Later titles would blow this game out of the water with bigger and badder campaigns, content, and game modes that would make your skin crawl. But this is where it all started. Dawn of the Golden Era, the start of praying for snow days here in Canada, so I could get off school just to grind Call of Duty with my friends. The game that changed Call of Duty forever and made other shooters in the genre green with envy. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I've got more content on the way, so make sure you subscribe and share with someone who also was a COD degen on snow days. I was one of them. I stream every Saturday and Sunday on Twitch, and I'll be playing Black Ops 6 when it comes out, so I'll leave a link in the description. Pop in and say hi. Let's have some fun together. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.